So pedoporno tubes, right? So since those cops that are in pedoporno tubes, they have like an AI that scans for the disregard videos or something. And so one of the things that gets noticed on pedoporno tubes is there's a scan for basically what is cops, but it's also tech nerds and stuff that sit around demanding people believe that they psychotically control someone's like life and what they say and shit and all that stuff. And so basically their AI has making them a stupid fucking bitch aspect to it, where their whole S&M paid for it, and then it gets used on all of that. See, in pedoporno tubes, they basically like they rip off everybody and then they say that they control their brain. It'll probably be the same cops that are like trying to get disregard like account takedowns and shit. Those will be like the same ones that'll be in their pedoporno for rip-off version of YouTube. That'll be claiming that fucking tech psycho shit. And so I think it's funny because, basically YouTube could probably figure out who most of those people are just by their insistence on taking down somebody's fucking account. Right? There's like a newer breed of tech psycho. And it involves building in law enforcement to be flexing illegal law enforcement power. And so that's kind of like where the boilerplate tech co analysis of tech psycho, they know that the tech companies know that stuff now. And so they've reworked their method to include police officers that force companies illegally using some sort of law enforcement power that doesn't actually legally, they don't actually have a legal ability to do that. Basically. And so this is where those cops that insist behind the scenes, it's kind of like when they demanded, it's like when the FBI demanded that Apple give their encryption and shit. Then they just went around and found a bunch of hackers and blackmailed them into doing these remote jailbreaks on everybody's shit. That's where the stupid FBI is kind of a little psychopaths, the ones that are like that. In ways, the FBI is a civilian law enforcement. And same with the cops. And as crime has moved to organized mercenary contracts through militant dark webs, this is kind of the reason why of the need of a space branch. Essentially, they'll be launching shit up in the air that will be reestablishing. They'll be basically building a new internet that'll basically lock out mercenary contracts out of those militant dark web systems. That essentially all hacking comes out of that stuff. Most criminal Silk Road kind of behavior comes out of that stuff nowadays. And then that kind of makes it to where then essentially what it ends up coming to is like it falls into the realm of intelligence and military intelligence sometimes. And so then that pushes basically the FBI out of their function of civilian law enforcement, and that their whole FBI training is a theoretical military training on civilian law enforcement. So essentially their academy trains skills that and ways of thinking that involve like civilian law enforcement. So at Langley, where the CIA trains a different type of military training, their training for what to do and how to think and stuff is based on a military intelligence. And so now you have people that are trained at civilian law enforcement attempting to do what requires like military intelligence training. So that is basically like that's essentially what causes in lots of ways some of those like FBI agents that go all crazy. See, if those people weren't crazy, they would have been brought into the CIA a long time ago. There's a real like psychological expectation when those, I call them FBI super cuck, those people they're doing stuff that requires the military intelligence training, and that they're not psychologically capable of being accepted in military intelligence or CIA. Okay, that is the real reason, and that is as they start doing the clandestine stuff. The clandestine stuff is for people that pass a whole psychological like expectation and shit, and because of its ability to be extremely unethical and borderlines on sometimes being close to illegal and shit. And to see the right people in military intelligence are brought in because they know how to practice restraint. These FBI agents that start to delve into methodologies that come from the CIA and military intelligence, they pretty much would never be accepted in that world because they aren't able to practice restraint on the methodologies that they're attempting to utilize. So, see, if they just get pissy, I mean, that would make them fail. They would fail whatever they're doing in like a clandestine way. If they were doing that in the CIA, they would fail. They would be taken off that project. They would. For just using their clandestine methodologies for little pedo whiny bitch shit. Right? They have to practice restraint. They only can use that stuff at verifiable targets, so to speak. They can't just use it as the extension of their little pissy bitchness. And that's what has arisen as an issue in the FBI as they move to doing more clandestine types of methodologies. They have to be kept from being a little pissy super cuck bitch. Huh, little pissy bitch.